Hello Ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games. Welcome to another top 30 survival games. We're continuing our countdown of some of the best that you can go and get right now. Last week we started with 30 down to 26. Today it is obviously 25 down to 21. What constitutes a survival game is often a question I get asked a lot, and also what quantifies how I place these games. Nothing really. Some of these games you're going to disagree with me putting it up high or low. There isn't really just a steady fast rule. It's based on just how I view these games at the moment, if they've got potential for the future. So you'll be quite surprised how many of these will be early access. So let's go. Let's start off 25 to 21. So we're starting off number 25 with Memories of Mars. Again, a game I think's got bags of potential. Whether or not it realises it, I don't know. It didn't start in the best fashion. It really has a low player base at the moment. What is Memories of Mars? It's basically Rust on Mars. You'll be running around in a PvP environment. That's how it started when it launched. They have now added PvE servers, and every week they're getting updates, bug fixes. The publisher is 505 Games, so they seem to be giving a lot of resources to the development team, even if they are still quite a small dev team. They are trying their best here. They're adding new creatures with their season. So instead of just calling it the update, each update is called a season, the servers reset, and you get a new opportunity to try out new features, new items, new weapons, and take on new enemies. I really enjoyed Memories of Mars. It was pretty grindy. The whole idea is running around gathering yourself flops, which you need to build. Flops is like a currency. You have to do everything with it. If you want to craft resources, if you want to unlock engrams, that's what you need to progress in this game. The addition of PvE servers is something a lot of people wanted to play. Unfortunately for me, I think it's probably watered down the experience. I really felt this had a big future as a Rust alternative. It's really low on players. You know, I give you honest opinion about it. I really hope it can pick up, have some massive update that really gets people behind it again, because right now the players are below even 50 or 60 a day playing this game. But it does seem to have the backing of its publisher, and maybe they can turn it around. I think if they can get this on Xbox or the PS4, it would do absolute wonders, because there's not enough survival PvP games out there, and I think it really lends itself to the environment. And I love the robots. I like the way it shoots as well. The crafting is a little bit convoluted, a little bit complex, but it is definitely a good survival game, a PvP one to get into. Maybe I shouldn't have included so many early access games in my countdown, but they often offer the most innovative and the new fresh ideas. This is another game that may not even finish. At the moment, the updates are coming very slowly, every 2 or 3 months or so, and there isn't that much communication. Maybe it's a language issue, as the developers are very high from north. When they make a snow survival game, they are actually living it, because that's where they come from, the very cold regions of North Russia. So Wild Day is a multiplayer focused survival game. The typical fashion, you go around collecting resources, a little bit like Don't Starve, if you remember that one, but you've got specialist roles. Each character is different, each of them have a special ability. That's why you need to work together. There's all different types of weather effects, weather storms, and you really need to be careful about what you're doing, how you're building, and the resources you're gathering. Skill trees are the norm. You can upgrade yourself, and obviously you can make things a lot easier for yourself as you go around the procedurally generated maps with all sorts of different creatures, enemies, and of course the survival aspects taking their toll on you. There are great locations to discover as well. I really like some of the locations. It is a top-down perspective. If you was expecting this list to be all just first-person shooter style games or third-person survival games, you're very much mistaken. Survival for me can encompass a lot of things, and it can be in all different types of game formats. I think this does this really well. It blew up a little while ago. Lots of YouTubers were playing it. It's been around for about a year now. They've just had an update, I do believe, last one in August, and they did say big things were coming. There's going to be a lot more added to the game very soon. So I'm hopeful that the Wild Day is going to continue to be developed, and we'll see more and more of this game. And I really do think that this has got good potential to come into console, as it doesn't look like it's too intensive as opposed to the first person open world games we're used to exploring. I really like the look of this one, and I think if you can get a core group of friends to play it, it has got great potential. Maybe they do probably need to work on some way that you can play it on your own. I think you can, but it just helps that if you've got specialist abilities for the characters, that you've got more than one person. But Wild Day is certainly well deserved of its place as number 24. So earlier I mentioned the fact that some games aren't as high up on my list because they often copy or ape other games. Now Miscreated does have unfortunate tag of being a Rust clone or even a DayZ. I think it's got very much its own merits. Miscreated blew up for a while and then it kind of went away, and a lot of people assumed it had been abandoned, but it's just got a very small development team. It has been in early access for a number of years now, one of them long gestating ones, available on PC, but I think it's well worthy of its place as number 23. It's just about to come out of early access. They've been talking about it in the last few weeks on social media. They're about to announce a post of when it's going to come, and it's looking likely it will reach 1.0 before the end of the year. This is a great achievement for a small team. It has all the core elements you come to expect from these type of games. Base building, freeform base building, it's got zombies or mutants that you have to run away from, and it is a PvP eccentric game just like DayZ and Rust as well. So it may have been a little bit higher if it maybe wasn't a direct result of some of them early games I mentioned, but regardless, I think when a game does something really well, it warrants the attention, and I think Miscreated is something I could really get into a lot more. It's made using the Crytek engine. It's been around for a long time and a lot of people assumed it was dead or dying. I've seen plenty of them, this game is dead, why did it die videos, but that's often the case with early access games that are in early access so long. I think it's got bunches of potential, especially if they get a lot of their long-term plans and visions in the game, particularly like more vehicles and more modifications for stuff like that. I think it's got a real hope on making it big. The gunplay's pretty tight, the zombies are scary as hell. I'm definitely looking forward to giving this a little bit more of a try out very soon. So I mentioned DayZ earlier. The Bohemia developers behind DayZ have also been commissioning lots of indie projects. Number 22 is this, Wildlands. It is made by a very much smaller team, again being taken under the mantle of Bohemia, given some time to publish and polish their own game. It is going to be one of them games you either really love the look of or you can't stand it. Maybe it's too close to something a little bit cutesy like Minecraft. Maybe you really appreciate the art style like I do. I think Wildlands has got lots of potential. It again blew up for a while and then it's kind of gone back on the back burner. I don't see as many content creators covering it as much. Maybe the updates have dried up a little bit. When I looked into it, it still seemed to be getting frequent updates. Everything seemed to be going well. I guess it's one of them early access games that you'll dip back into and back out of. I really love the idea of going around crafting, and the building aspects look absolutely amazing. I really love the art style. They've also got some really good editing tools as well, so there's a lot of, you know, making sure you can landscape the environment and the lands around you, but it's more than that. You can do all sorts of roleplay features with it too. As you can see in this trailer here, this was showing and highlighting all the different types of scenarios you can make. Haven't got Red Dead? Then why don't you make your own Red Dead map and game mode? I really like the idea. There's so many different options with this, and these scenarios trailer really shows it. Go full indie, create whatever you want to create. Wildlands isn't a bad game at all. Available on its own launch, I do believe, from Bohemia rather than Steam. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but give this one a try on PC only at the moment. We're finishing off this week's top 30 with something a bit controversial. I'm probably going to get a bit of flack for this one, but you know what, it's my list, so I'll put what I want in it. Fallout 76 to me is worthy of placing at number 21. Maybe it'll place higher in the future as it's still technically in a beta. I didn't want necessarily put it up too high, not since I've actually had a real good chance to play it in depth. Fallout 76 doesn't want to call itself a survival game, well, not to the outside world, but in all intents and purposes it is. It's got light survival elements, of course. It hasn't got maybe necessarily the reliance on food and water like other games do, but they certainly help and hinder you if you don't have your food and water uptake. Of course, it's a huge open world. It really borders that open world sandbox environment and the survival aspects, but I think Fallout 76 maybe next year, if I do the same sort of video series, would be definitely maybe top 10. It's got problems, it's got issues. There's a bunch of technical issues at the moment running, not just on Xbox and PS4 but PC as well, and depending on who you ask, it's either the world's worst game or it's an innovative, brand new, fresh take on the survival genre. I don't think anyone's really going to be truly happy with Fallout 76. I think it's caused way too much controversy to really be a darling of the game world. And for me, it's very dated. But from a survival aspect, if you love survival games, I wholly recommend that you go and pick up Fallout 76. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people that love single player games, but for people that love survival, there's bunches of stuff to do in here. Crafting your own weapons, making your own bases, taking on loads of variations of mobs, and it's got something that survival games cry out for. It's got a little bit of a story. They may only be notes and holotapes, but it's a lot more than a lot of other survival games can offer. That's why it's number 21. Like I said, in the future it may go even further up, but for now, because it's still in a beta, I can only really place it this far. So go and get Fallout 76 if you're a proper survival fan. That is it. That is this week's countdown. I'll be back next week every Saturday trying to give you the rundown up until number 10. From 10 to 1, I'll be doing specific individual videos showing you guys why I love the top 10 games that I'm going to be giving you the info for. Let me know if you disagree or you agree about my choices. Let me know if there's any that you're hoping to see or you think I might have missed. Let me know on some new games that are coming up. I'll also be showing you games, some that nearly just made it, maybe didn't because they was in alphas. It's all coming. It's all in my top 30. Don't forget to like. If you want to take part even more, make sure you go and join my patrons. You can give me feedback and input on the games, and I'll certainly be using it in the future as we get more into the countdown. I want to hear your opinions. I'm Jade Plays Games. I'll see you ratbags for another one very soon. As ever, a big shout out to my patrons. They sponsor this series. It allows me the freedom with their support to make content I really want to make. I love doing this. I love showing you guys the games. So thank you to all my patrons that support me, whether it's $1, $5, and all the Twitch supporters and the YouTube sponsors as well. Thank you guys.